Parliament amend Act on Goods and Services Tax for Central. Public servants miss out on increments again. And thousands affected after landslide due to heavy rain.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Thursday's news. Central Province will get its 10% of GST collected in Port Moresby. Central Governor Robert Agorobe pushed for changes to the National Capital District Act in a private member's bill which Parliament passed this afternoon.
The Honourable Governor for Central Province.
The debate on GST between Central Province and NCD was brought up again in Parliament today, this time through a private member's bill by Central Governor Robert Agorobe seeking Parliament support to make changes to the National Capital District Act.
Mr. Speaker, I present the National Capital District Commission Amendment Bill 2021.
His target was a 5% increase in GST collections from Port Moresby to 10%, now giving to Central Province 10%.
Mr. Speaker, over the years, my people have been reduced to almost nothing in terms of human dignity, where we walk around with fear and feel like strangers. My people are harassed, murdered and raped on our own land and denied our human rights as enshrined in our mother law or our constitution. Mr. Speaker, Central Province has been fighting to be given a fair share of the GST revenue collected in the city since independence and since 2004, where the laws were amended.
This did not go down well with some members of Parliament, including City Governor Poes Pakop.
Governor and people of Central Province have a lot of issues. Many are legacies, and they have, some of them are legitimate issues. But the important thing for us to remember is, should this issue be solved by our capital city? This is what we all should remember in debating and maybe voting on these proposed amendments.
Prime Minister James Marape told Parliament it was fair to give back to Central Province, on which the city is now built.
Mr. Speaker, I could understand where Governor Agorobe is coming from. And I note their attempt to make a central city, but for so long, they have been living in coexistence, as they have been since time immemorial. When there was no nation's capital before, there was one Port Moresby city. And that one Port Moresby city was a place when rest of PNG come, but traditionally the central people, including the Motu Quetta.
He also highlighted the greater debate that exists in GST for provincial governments. Parliament voted 61-1 in the first reading, 54-7 in the second reading before being passed on the third. Bradley Valenaki, National EMTV News.
Public servants throughout the country have once again missed out on salary adjustments in the 2022 national budget. The increments were promised through an agreement 3 years ago between the government and the Public Employees Association of PNG. PEA, in a media conference today, made their stand on the matter, announcing that their negotiations with the Department of Personnel Management are now closed and they intend to bring the dispute to an arbitration process.
The Public Employees Association, through its National President Brett Phillip and General Secretary Peter Toggs, in the media conference today, aired their concerns after they gathered from the 2022 budget papers that there was no allocation for salary adjustments except for retirees in the public service.
We are obligated as a union to inform the financial members of PEA as to where we are in mitigating the log of claims that has been put to the state since 2019. It has been 3 years to date. Nothing has transpired from the talks and collaborations with the state through DPM. And for the third time, we see that the budget has not captured any adjustment to the workers in the public service, any adjustment to the base salaries.
PEA claims that since the expiry of the 2017 to 2019 MOA, the state, through the DPM, has not made an exerted effort to replace the agreement. National President Philip said the 2020 and 2021 budgets have gone through the government processes and the association's efforts to revise the log of claims for its members have continually been disregarded. Consistent with the industrial machinery in industrial protocols, the association has lodged the dispute of the union's claim to the Department of Labour and Industrial Relations to be registered to go before the Reconciliation and Arbitration Tribunal. The dispute is with the Industrial Registrar for registration prior to being lodged with the Arbitration Tribunal office.
Given the circumstances now, today, with the pandemic, yes, I will agree and concur with everybody, including the government, that we are all facing the same storm. We are in the pandemic. The difference is, my members are facing the storm in rubber dinghies, while they are facing the storm in yachts.
Following complaints raised by financial members of PEA on the matter, PEA executives said the members need to be mindful of the process it has to go through to settle the claim under challenging circumstances. The executives are concerned that waiting 3 years is unacceptable, as PEA members claim they have suffered during the COVID-19 pandemic without consideration of their cost of living and insurance cover.
How long will humanity suffer? How long will PEA financial members suffer because of the pandemic? It is unjust. It is unfair. When you look at the cost of living nowadays, consumer price indexation of the country has moved up to over 6% right now.
Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
The Lutheran health services throughout the country will become part of PNG Nurses Association. Nursing President Frederick Kebai says the nurses engaged will be eligible for industrial allowances paid by the Nurses Association. The president says this is the first time a church-run health service is partnering with the Nurses Association.
Church health service workers play an important role mostly in rural parts of the country. After almost a year of negotiation, the 103 nurses working for the Lutheran Health Services will see benefits for the first time.
Nurses in the church health services are also benefiting. Why? Because we are serving the same government of the day. We got the same qualification as a nurse. And we are also serving the same people of Papua New Guinea of this country. And whatever the pension privileges nurses in the government sectors are benefiting must also be given to our nurses who are providing services for the church-run health services in the country.
National Health Secretary for Lutheran Health Services, Katu Iapi, says the allowance received by the nurses does not match their government counterparts. But he says as a leader, he must be innovative to support his workers.
But we would like to acknowledge the PNG Nurses Association and all the good work that they have done to improve awards on the nurses across the country for the government. And we came here to sign this MOU so that our nurses at Lutheran Health Service can also benefit. And it can also pave the way for other church health organizations to come into PNG Nurses Association and benefit as well.
PNG Nurses Association National President Frederick Kebai says the nurses must remain at their operational areas to provide health services.
Also would like to see that these nurses are retained in the rural health services and continue to provide health services. And that's where the churches come in to play that vital role. Papua New Guinea Nursing Association don't like to see nurses drifting away from the rural to coming into urban setting.
General Secretary for PNG-NA says other church-run health services are welcome to be part of PNG-NA, but some protocols needs to be followed.
We will fight for you. We will have to acknowledge, appreciate the church beliefs, doctrines, values, Christianity principles and values that they value and uphold. Association will have to respect that. And the church will have to understand the purpose of industrial organization and the objectives and how we operate.
Podivai National EMTV News.
The review of the Electoral Boundary Commission has come under scrutiny and criticism. A former member of parliament says creating new electorates is also costly for the government. He added that many people are now confused and wondering if new electorates will be formalized before next year's national elections.
I still believe that we need...
Expressing his concern there, Kewanu says proper planning is needed before creating new electorates or districts. He says though the Electoral Boundary Commission has done a lot to review boundaries, it will cost and demand better planning. Mr. Kewanu says many people are excited and confused at the moment.
Election around the corner. You're bringing Electoral Boundary Commission people out there, confusing people that there's going to be election around the corner, and now you're saying there's going to be a few more electorates. That should be planned 5 years ago. When you first government takes office, you start planning. Let the people know that there's going to be this. So it takes 5-6 years. Only then you will know that these things are going to come to fruition.
Following the conclusion of EBC visits around the country, the next phase is to compile and present the report to Parliament. Karukuhiri MP Peter Isoamo questioned the government yesterday.
When I'm time through by this report, it comes to Parliament, and how does the government view this report? By come up along this platform of Parliament, or by me go along next time of Parliament, or people block Karukuhiri like Save? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
In a recent news conference, the Electoral Commissioner said the previous report was submitted in 2006 and has never been debated in Parliament or for further elaboration.
The last one was done in 2006, and that report was not accepted in Parliament. Not really not accepted, but they just say keep it first and they'll take it up later. And so those reports are still there.
According to the Prime Minister, the EBC report is being finalized.
I think the report is being finalized. I know we are running very late into our Parliament term in respect to the number of days we have for Parliament to sit, to give respect to the recommendations that's contained.
While the final EBC report is yet to reach NEC and the floor of Parliament, the former Mendi MP says current leaders must consider all phase and decide for the better.
If we get it right, yes. If we don't get it right, we'll be like this for the next 15 or 20 years. And we don't know where the country will head. So let's think, walk, and be honest, be vigilant, and do things for the good of this country. So as a citizen, all of us have our views, but I think I have my views on what's happening, and I think let's be practical.
22 proposed electorates were identified by the Electoral Commission. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll have more stories after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. A counter-funding of 2 million kina was presented to contractor Yao Limited for upgrade and rehabilitation of a rural road in East Pangia, Southern Highlands Province. Presenting the funding, Governor William Powie says this road project is among the 50 feeder roads identified under its road development plan. A local in East Pangia says people are excited to see proper upgrade of roads to access other services as well.
Prior to presenting the 2 million kina funding, Governor Powie says this is one of the many road projects identified for upgrade. He said people of East Pangia will be able to use this road for the better. Governor Powie said 50 other feeder roads will be allocated counter funding.
And this is one of the important roads linking various ward councillors in that part of the electorate in Yalubu Pangia.
26 kilometers of road in the East Pangia will be upgraded. This follows close consultation with council wards and community leaders. The contractor is optimistic to deliver this project to the locals.
It's a big amount of money that you are giving to your people. Yes. I will make sure, do my very best to make use of this money and do the work as the money is worth.
The 2 million kina is a counter-funding by the provincial government and national government under the Road Sector Improvement Program. Governor Powi said other projects in the Pangia area include bridges, council chamber and support to different levels of schools.
We've made that payment as well, so a total of 500,000 for that bridge, bringing this 2 million from the Southern provincial government in partnership with the national government to the same LLG, 2 million road infrastructure. I have already paid the Hege Lama and his company 1.5 million to build the East Pangia LLG chamber in Pangia Station. And that is going to be launched in December, January, going forward that way. And in relation to that particular LLG, I have also wants to announce here the payment of 3 million kina to Kana construction for Yelibu and Pangia district or station roads.
Work is expected to commence beginning next year. Jack Power Jr., National EMTV News.
About 50,000 people have been affected in the Sinisina-Yongomol area after a landslide. This follows heavy rain with people using their own tools to clear the road for 2 days. A community spokesperson called on local MP Karen Gakua to assist rehabilitate the road.
The Gunagi Road was blocked following heavy rain. Locals in the area mobilized and helped clear the road for 2 days. This has been a practice for the past 15 years.
Big landslide come up lo Gunagi na true lo trouble lo Gunagi and because trip directly the time people using the road gumni na sort no money necessary. People using that so honorable Karangakua emda lulu lo road through lo kobe to Gunagi na landslide close to na come up lo time na through spot there I think big landslide come up lo inside Gunagi area na ogoda car emna awesome go come lo time na ogoda stop na mipla ogoda community lo Gunagi mipla volunteer work lo this part na mipla be rousing time taso mipla rousing enable to play day na.
After almost 48 hours the road was cleared. But locals say the road needs to be upgraded. They say mandated leaders have not once allocated funding to this road, which also links schools and health centers in the So LLG and parts of Gomini district.
That's so true long. You must concern Gunagi. You must concern the road to Gunagi. Now you must make him road na because over the service and boom over the service and road. Motion and must over the sun and road as long implement service. Osna people concern me Gunagi. People like him osem. You must concern the road na road must good to service must run.
The road serves 2 districts and was last upgraded in 2013. Moku is calling on relevant levels of government to fund this road and improve its conditions. He says people have suffered for years despite voting leaders.
Kuman and been grade him lo dumun to Gunagi and grade him lo 2013. Let him stop yet. Now we do was landslide close to. Now we drunk and moga sanem and barabota. Na mi pla concern walking the road there the people me pla feel expla. No don't pla man when walking the road. Thank you. Me pla walking a possible coverage. I'm engaged Martin na too long. It's the road. Na mi maintaining come in a Boston because COVID-19 me cosim na. I'm talking all the rest na wait na witness now it's the time me looking was road and barabota.
Jack Power Jr., National EMTV News.
And now looking at the NAS Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina is buying $0.2775 $0.3850 Australian dollars, $0.2379 euro and 30.93 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher. Coffee and cocoa closed lower and copra closed higher. Crude oil is trading higher, palm oil and copper closed lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. And back home, HIV response officers in Madang need a new building to work as the current building is infested with termites. The building was about 5 years old, but the maintenance cost due to termite infestation is estimated at 200,000 kina. Martha Louise reports from Madang.
This is the Madang Provincial AIDS Response Building. From the outside, the structure looks conducive for staff to work, but the interior of the building is not fit to accommodate workers and even visitors. The floorboards are broken and not safe to walk on. The breaks are wide enough to look through. Even the telephone and power cables are visible with water dripping through the cracked floors.
You've seen the building. And as I've always told people, please stay down there and call me up so that I can go down there. The building was built in 2016-17. Yeah. But the termites took the best of it. The cost that was established is about 200,000 for maintenance and almost building a new building.
Waduna says HIV has been getting little attention when it comes to resources, adding this is because there are other sicknesses like malaria and TB that also needs attention.
Focus has been shifted to have, especially when you have other health programs that or other issues that you need to cover, malaria, TB, TB. What else? Yeah, those are the health issues, and the slice of the cake is like priorities are given to what we think is important.
So HIV is not important.
I don't want to say HIV for Madang. I don't want to say HIV is not important. We've been taken on board. HIV response has been taken on board just last year by Provincial Health Authority, which is something I should say is shows a commitment to fight HIV.
Waduna explained that the HIV response in Madang was set up in 2004, and from 2004 to 2015, they were under the National AIDS Council. In 2015, an NEC decision was made to amalgamate with either provincial administration or provincial health authorities. They only started getting support from the Madang Provincial Health Authority in 2019 under the new CEO.
We are part of the disease control under Provincial Health Authority, not a separate, not HIV separate. So the fundings are going through disease control, and there's TB accessing disease control funding, there's malaria accessing disease control funding, HIV, leprosy, all those other disease control accessing. Now COVID.
Another challenge the officers are facing is manpower and logistical support in carrying out awareness, advocating on HIV and AIDS, as well as other HIV-related responsibilities. Martha Louise, National EMTV News, Madang.
You're watching National EMTV News. Chukai Sports is next. All the details after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. It's all positives at the SPPNG Hunters camp with promising signs that the team is shaping up well for the coming season in 2022. Coach Matthew Church says that the younger players are setting a few benchmarks for the senior playing group.
It's the pre-season for PNG's team in the Queensland Intrust Super Cup, the SPPNG Hunters. So far, 2 players have been cut from the team, but that hasn't stopped the rest of the players from reaching new heights at training. The new recruits are impressing the coach and setting some milestones in the team. Coach Matthew Church is happy with the progress so far.
Happy with how the team's performing. We've lifted our standards and we've made it harder, and they're adapting to it. A lot of the new guys are really challenging some of the senior boys and asking them to do more, and I think we're doing that. And yeah, we've seen some really good performances on the track.
These are the forwards for the Hunters, an agile group of young men who are being prepared to be one of the quickest and agile forwards in the 2022 competition.
I think one of the advantages of Papua New Guineans is they're fast. It doesn't matter what kind of body shape they are, they're all pretty fast. So across the board, we'll probably have one of the quicker teams in the ISC. So looking to take advantage of that, and it's really good that they're training really hard because we want to set a good base so they can play for long minutes and hopefully blow the opposition away with our intensity.
The unbearable humidity has been a concern for Port Moresby residents, but not the Hunters. It is tough, but the progress is positive and the team is fairly settled. But there are options for more to join the team if need be.
At the moment, we're fairly settled if there's because everyone's working hard and wanting to prove themselves to be a hunter. If we find that someone's not, then we'll move them on and look for someone else. So there will be opportunities, and we certainly have. I picked a bigger squad than just the 32 that were named that came in that I had my eye on. So if someone doesn't want to work hard enough, then we'll give someone else an opportunity.
Despite the team working hard, they will not be able to string together a few trial matches here in the nation's capital. These are reserved for Australia, with New South Wales Rugby League Ron Messi Cup side Fiji Kaiviti Silktails on the cards. Both the Hunters and the Silktails are to be based in Australia.
There won't be any trial matches in Port Moresby, unfortunately. There will be 2 trial matches after we relocate. At the moment we're working on one with the Fiji Silktails. That will be in Queensland. When they relocate as well. I think the Capras, we've got a trial against the Capras at some stage in Gympie, I believe.
Fidelis Sukina, Trukai Sports.
The participation of teams from outside centres always adds to the flavour and interest in Rugby Sevens tournaments held in the nation's capital. This year's Sports Talk Sevens was no exception, with teams travelling from Lae, Medang, Central and Western Province.
The recently held 2021 Sports Talk Sevens proved to be a successful outing for the 2 participating teams from the Western Province. It was an all-Western Province affair, with the Daru-based teams Cousins and Amaroa featuring in the competition's bowl final. It was a battle between brothers, with both teams familiar with each other's style of play, resulting in a closely fought contest, with Cousins defeating Amaroa 12 points to 7.
Yeah, with our brothers here, Amaroa. There are a couple of good players there. We tried having matches in Daru. The matches were tight. We played a couple of grand final with them. So last year they won the JC Cup tournament, and we came on to prove them wrong. We came we see plenty of fast people here too. But like us, some boys are new, so they keep themselves nervous and get new to the arena here. We mostly boys back at home. We play with crowd. Some are like first timers. They don't play in quiet place. They need support, and game is good for them.
Given the trying circumstances surrounding the hosting of the Sports Talk Sevens, both Cousins and Amaroa were resolute enough to make the journey to Port Moresby, showcasing the rugby talent that the province has to offer.
It was going on and off after this COVID-19 lockdown. The first time, 1st April, they gave us stop not to come over, so we stayed a couple of weeks out, then started training for a week, 2, and came to the second time. We were prepared to come. The day when they said lockdown, our tickets were held, so we had to go back again, stay for a month, and started our training and prepared ourselves to come.
Huxley Lovai, Chukai Sports.
You're watching Chukai Sports. More stories after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. The Russell Cup Sports Challenge is expected to be the largest community sporting event in Lae this festive season. 4 sports will be played in 17 locations in the city. Coordinator Andrew Ari said it is being done to keep the community active this holiday season and at the same time expose raw talent in the communities. It was launched yesterday and will commence this month, ending in February next year.
I told you I will push for the 14.
These are officials who will be in charge of the Russell Cup Sports Challenge this festive season and come from various wards in the city. Yesterday, they met at Hengali in Lae to officially launch the tournament.
The whole idea of keeping of youths and community living in good environment, safe Christmas ball, and what have you inside community.
This is the second time the Russell Cup Challenge is being held. However, this year, soccer, volleyball, rugby touch and rugby nines will be the codes played during this tournament. Coordinator Andrew Ari said it will be a big tournament as it will be played in 17 locations around the city. He said while the tournament is being held to keep communities busy over the festive season, there is a lot of sporting talents that can be identified through this avenue.
Sometimes also play low community level also almost go out low town competition so casing all those are the raw talents. Like fine tuning all, bring more go back and town combo.
One of the officials from Tent City, Xavier Tremani, said members in his community have already started registering to participate.
Give me a loan summit and we'll start the registration will finish. So community and we'll just wait as well this time.
The Russell Cup Challenge, which is being supported by the Lae MP John Russell, will be spread out over 3 months starting this weekend and will end in February next year. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV Sports, Lae.
And that ends Chukai Sports. The weather details coming up next.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. Mostly cloudy with a few showers and possible thunderstorms in Port Moresby and Popondetta. In the Mamase region, partly cloudy with chances of brief afternoon showers in Lae and Whanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine weather in Lorengau and some afternoon showers in Buka. And in the Highlands region, a few showers with possible thunderstorms in Mount Hagen and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for Thursday, 2nd December 2021. Until next time, pleasant viewing, be safe and good night.